T-Mobile Wi-Fi calling selected.
Welcome, everybody, to our iBug Android Insight call. Today is Wednesday, April 17th, 2024. We've made it 4 months out of the year now, so thank y'all. Welcome. We're here. We're all about Android. We discuss everything that deals with the Android platform. So whether you have a cell phone, a tablet, um, at this time, an Alexa device, a Google device. If it works on an Android platform, this is the spot to be. So welcome to our iBug Android Insight call. My name is Ava Caruth. I'm out of Houston, Texas. I am one of your Zoom hosts tonight. And my co host is Hershey. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Absolutely. So good morning, evening, everything in between. I'm originally out of Central Florida, but today's a special event. I'm actually coming out of Ahmedabad, India.
All right. And we're going to let Michael, if you will go ahead and do our bug updates.
Sure will, Ava. Thanks. So, coming up here in the next week or so, iBug's got a couple of different things going on, starting with tomorrow. And by the way, all of these things I'm going to talk about are right here on this very same Zoom channel. And all the times that I'll mention are in Central Time Zone US. So, keep that in mind and translate those to whatever time zone you're in. Starting out tomorrow night, 8 p.m., we have our Trekkie Talk. That's for our Trekkies and Trekkie wannabes. We are currently watching Star Trek Deep Space Nine, Season 1, and episodes 5 and 6. What we do is pre-watch those ahead of time and then come together 8 p.m. tomorrow night to discuss those. So if you're interested in that, please join us. We have a good group there that really loves Star Trek. Then Friday night, we've got our regular iBug Night at the Virtual Movies. Come in at 7:15 for the pre-movie social time. We do all kinds of fun things, playing some Name That Tune games, tell some jokes, and just share a little different things going on in each of our lives. And then the movie will start around 8 p.m. Immediately following the movie, we have a discussion, critiquing the movie, some trivia about the movie. So make a full night of it. We're off for the weekend, nothing going on in the weekend, but right back here on Monday evening at 7 p.m. for the iBug Buzz. And that's our regular Q&A help session for anybody with iPhone, iPad, Apple Watch, Apple TV, all that iOS-based products, Apple products. So if you got any questions, issues with your software or devices, come get them answered there. Immediately following the buzz at 9 p.m., we have something we call After Buzz, and that's just a get to know various people in the well that have been in the buzz and others in the iBug team. And that's no tech talk at that. It's just get to know each other time. Then on Tuesday is our 5 p.m. We have a shortened version of the. Sorry about that. I just had a pop up mess me up. But we had the iBug Mini Buzz. That's just a short 1 hour session, same Q&A help session for iOS related topics. And that should just kind of round out the coming week. And so we look forward to having you come to any or all of those. By the way, we are right in the midst of our fundraiser, and we're having a $500 tech shopping spree. And there you win a $500 gift card to your choice of Apple, Google, or Amazon. And you can go on our website, ibugtoday.org, get the details on how to enter that. And for $10, you too can possibly be the lucky winner of that $500 gift card, tech shopping spree. Also, you can follow us on social media. We're on Facebook. We have a Facebook group and a Facebook page. Just do a search for iBug Today, and you should find us there. We are still on Twitter or X, and handle there is @iBug Today. So there you can always just follow, keep track of everything going on. If you're not on our mailing list, again, back on our website, ibugtoday.org, you can go to the page that says, or the link that says join iBug, and simple to fill out your name and email and get on our mailing list. So that's it for now. Ava, I'll hand it back over to you.
All right. Thank you, Michael. Well, as I say, welcome everybody. Hershey, would you like to tell everybody how to get on to our list?
Sure can. So if you want to join in on our mailing list, which is quite popular these days, you get what kind of case do I want, or what kind of phone's out there. So drop us a quick line, a blank email to ibug, IBUG, Android, ANR, or ANDROID, Insight, plus subscribe, that is INSIGHT, the plus sign, subscribe at groups.io. If you just drop a quick blank email, that will get you connected with us, and then pretty much you are on a mailing list. And if you have questions, drop us a line between now and our next episode, and wait around till the end, and Ava will let you know what the date is for that next episode.
All right. Thank you, Hershey. Well, I want to say welcome to everybody. Let's go ahead and let's kick it off with let's see who's all out there on the line tonight, Hershey.
Yes. I want to know who's out there.
Yes, and if you're new to the line, please let us know who you are, where you're calling from, how did you hear about us, and what devices do you have?
Hello, my name is Clay Brown. I'm from Central Texas. This is my first time to the call. I'm calling you from an iPhone 14, but I have been considering as a second line an Android device, and so this is a curiosity to know. Well, anyway, I'm sure you have your opinions, and I welcome all opinions, but I'm just coming in here to see what it would be like, what Android would be like, and what it would be like for me to use an Android and an iPhone. So
that sounds beautiful, and thank you for joining us for the first time here. And we'll keep on going for the next person, and we'll come wrap around. If you have questions, please keep them in your mind, and we'll be happy to answer them. And it doesn't matter if you have iPhones or Androids. So thank you for joining us tonight.
Is there an order to this thing?
Nope, that's you, Kurt. Okay. I hear your voice.
Cool. All right, I'm Kurt. Apologies for the audio. I am at my nephew's soccer game right now, and so we're getting a little chance to test the wind reduction on these headphones. I am primarily an Android user, but I like Android better for most things, but I'm actually coming to you on a recently purchased iPhone SE 2022 that I have hotspotted through my main phone right now. So that's what's going on. And, I like both for different reasons. Happy to talk more about that or answer any questions anyone may have.
So happy to have you, Kurt. Thank you so much.
This is Foster from Houston.
Uh-oh, Mr. Foster Brown. How's it going, sir?
Oh, going great. How about yourself?
Hanging in there, sir.
And I'm coming to you from my Samsung Galaxy Z Fold 3 is what I'm using for tonight's meeting.
Excellent, excellent. Okay, some foldables in the house too, some flat phones and big candy phones. And anybody else wants to introduce himself, let us know where you're from, what kind of phone you have.
Can you hear me?
Sure can.
Yeah.
Hi, this is Quentin. Uh, coming. Well, I'm on my PC. Usually, I'm on my Tab S8, but I'm from outside of Houston, in Texas. So it's good to hear everybody.
Thank you, Quentin. And if anybody else wants to speak up, please feel free. Just unmute yourself and let us know where you're from and what kind of device you carry.
Hey everybody,
Hi,
this is oh go ahead.
go ahead. No, please go ahead.
Hey everybody, this is Renee. I've been here before. I did just upgrade from a Pixel 7 to a Pixel 8.
Okay, okay. Well, welcome back, Miss Renee. I'm glad to hear your voice. And what's up, Miss Shay, after you?
Yep, this is Shay. Just calling to say hi. And I've been to the dentist. My entire mouth is numb, so I'll probably just be listening tonight more than asking. But I'm so glad to
No
be here.
problem.
And
But
thank you.
if you have questions, just shoot it out there, maybe, and maybe we'll answer what you might have been thinking all along. So thank you for joining us, Miss Shay.
Thank you.
Anybody else willing and able to let us know where you're from, calling from, or did we get everybody? Well, again, I'm Hershey. Actually not in America right now. I'm actually all the way across the pond in Asia, in India, and it's about 5:30 in the morning. But I enjoy you and your questions, and thank you for joining us tonight. So, Ava, any other afterthoughts?
No, but I
If not,
do want
questions
to
are up,
thank.
ready to go.
Well, I do want to thank Kevin and Foster because I know I was going to be running a little late. Didn't know if you were going to be able to make it, but they were going to stand in for us until I got on as our backup. So I do want to thank them for getting on a
Really
little
appreciate
early
all of
this
y'all. And
evening.
again, I was enjoy hearing Foster's name or Kevin's and everybody else. I really, really appreciate it. Thank you.
Yep. So let's go ahead. Let's go ahead and jump in feet first. So anybody have any question, comments, anything burning hot that you want to talk about tonight?
Actually, just a real quick one. I don't know if anyone else. So Samsung had an update where they took dictation, the little icon that's right there above the keyboard. They they took it and put it in the bottom left corner. And usually I will use the side key to activate and speak. And when you do that, it'll bring up like the handwriting uh, keyboard or menu, and then have the little button for the like basically push to talk for the dictation, and it no longer comes up like that. It just beeps. So when you're in the chat bar, it just beeps when you press and hold it. So just throwing that out there. I don't know if anybody noticed that. It took me a while to figure that out because the little icon is kind of like the little guy on the right side for accessibility. Now it does that when you're in the chat box.
Interesting. So, just to kind of recap of my understanding as a Hershey. So, you're basically saying the dictation button was up top by the status, like above the number line, and then now it's brought to the closer to the bottom near your space bar.
No, it's not even on the keyboard at all.
Oh,
It's
okay.
now an icon underneath, like like the home button and all that, except it's in the bottom left corner is where it pops up. Yeah, I searched the keyboard because I use the Samsung keyboard. So I'm just used to it, so I use it. And it took me a minute to figure out, oh, the dictation's not in there. Because even if you go on the menu, like the keyboard menu, it's not even in there. So
Very interesting. You know
yeah.
what I'm finding as we were kind of talking about dictation. I'm using a Pixel 6 Pro here in India, and holy moly, this thing does not get what I say at all. Like it just says something so random that just doesn't make sense. So I don't know. They said voice assistant's supposed to be the kind of the one thing knows all kind of situation, and you just say send and it'll send it off. But being here internationally, it's a terrible experience to be honest. Maybe there's something I'm missing. Maybe I didn't put a language in properly, but um, Samsung, moving that button. I mean, my hope was for Gboard and Samsung to really take that button, maybe put it next to the space bar, like, take the comma away. Maybe you press and hold the period button and you get a comma out of it. And to the left of it would be that dictation button, and next to that would be the emoji button. But what do you guys think? Otherwise, does anybody else have any thoughts that we should switch it up with dictation? Should we go send it over to the favorite website that I have, which is g.co/disability support, or what do y'all think? Okay, I guess we think nothing then, huh?
Oops. Well, I just finally got off of
Okay,
mute.
go ahead,
This is
Ms. Renee.
Renee. I don't use the Samsung keyboard. I use the Pixel one, but I would say, yeah, send it to the G.co, because if they moved my microphone right now, I'd be kind of upset. I'm used to it being where it is on the Pixel keyboard.
And being that this is actually again, being that I'm using this Pixel versus my S22 Ultra, which is trusty, but then putting a SIM card in, getting your voicemails deleted, it's too risky for me. But the Pixel 6 Pro, it's weird because even clipboard is all the way past beyond the dictation button. So I don't know, maybe we do need to kind of hit up Google with our Samsung and Google questions and Android questions in general. Again, the website is g.co/disability support, where you could hit them up with the Be My Eyes app, which has video. Then you could also get through with them with email and as well as chat. So just keep that as a good reference because that's how we make changes and it does work. So, however many people's on this call, if we all sent the same email, dictation is broken. I think we might get this fixed. So, Quentin, hang in tight. I think sending an email, maybe putting it on the list first, might get some things moving along for us. Just to because being on a Pixel 6 Pro kind of feels awkward coming from a Samsung S22 Ultra, but it still has all the features that Google offers. So, thank you for your question and thoughts on that.
Oh, well, this Quinn, I kind of like it. It just would have been nice if they would have been like, hey, we're moving this button, but everything else is there. Like what's interesting is before you only had a choice of like a handful of options, above the keyboard, your emojis and clipboard and, Spotify and this, that, and the other. Now, a lot of that, when you tap one of those icons, it's kind of a menu for some of it. Like your emojis is still the same. It'll go to an emoji page, and from there you can access emojis, GIF or GIF, however you pronounce it, and other things like that. And then if you go, like I said, you have the clipboard and some other reading, like actual writing style stuff to help you, I guess, write a text message or something. I don't know. I've never used it, but a lot of that stuff has its own little menu now. And all they did was just move the dictation, little microphone down to the bottom corner. But like I said, you can still use the like I use the side button. So I just press and hold it and it'll ding and then you just speak. It's a little weird with TalkBack on because you'll press and hold it and it'll ding. TalkBack will say I think microphone or dictation on and then dictation off, like a second later.
Interesting.
So yeah, it's a little finicky with I mean, I got it to work. It took a sec, but just be careful with that because you'll click it, hear that, and you'll start talking, and none of your message, is has been dictated. So other than that, it's really cool.
Definitely, and the usability of it, right, Quentin? So you're pressing a button, you're hoping that what you said is what you said. So what I use it for here out in India, every few moments, like, hey, what time is it back home, or what's the weather back home, or you check in something specific to maybe say, hey, what's your weather like over there, or you're
Right.
converting Celsius to Fahrenheit. So me holding it down on a Pixel phone, it hits me off with Assistant. But if we're using dictation now in lieu of Assistant, then yeah, I definitely see some kind of usability learning pains, I guess.
Yeah, so far it just seems like it's like when you're in a chat, like a edit box. I'll just say edit box. So, text message or, you know, filling in something. So far, I've only seen it or dealt with it in that aspect. Now, my assistants, Bixby and Google, like they still work as normal. In fact, that was kind of the problem is I'd go to hit the side key, which if you're not in the edit box, brings up, well, for me, it brings up Bixby. But I mean, it could bring up Google if I want, but that's what it does. I'm thinking I'm about to dictate. I bring up Bixby and I'm like, say I leave a message. I'm going home in a minute, but it's going to Bixby and not a text message. And then Bixby's talking to me and I'm like, what just happened? So just be mindful of that.
Much appreciated. We'll be sending some emails out to Google and Samsung. Well, thanks, Quinn. And I guess if anybody else has any other questions or thoughts, I heard our newcomer that said that they want to know maybe more about Android. So I'll leave the stage open to you.
This is Shay, and along the keyboard topic, I use Gboard, and lately it's been changing on its own from dark background with white keys, and it turns to just everything is white. I think the letters might be dark, but I can't see them. It's not enough contrast for me, and I can't figure out why it's doing it. It doesn't seem to be anything that I can figure a pattern for. Is anybody else experiencing this or have any suggestions?
And Ms. Shea, you're using this on a A32, correct?
Yes, thank you for remembering, and thank you for your dedication to be up at the middle of the night there to come in here to
Absolutely,
help
not a
us.
worry.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So, Foster, anybody, Quentin, any thoughts? Why
yeah, this
things
is
change up on
Foster.
you? Go ahead, Foster.
Was there a recent update or something? Because what may have happened is there is a setting where like you can do the keyboard kind of like light and dark modes where it'll change colors due to the time of day or whatever. So
I
you
am
might need to
current on
go
my
back.
update. This
Okay.
is Shay. I
You
am
might,
current on my updates, but I don't remember that it was, it did an update and oops, now this started happening. Not sure.
yeah. Yeah, check the settings though for your
Thank you.
Gboard. And switch it back to whatever you want.
Yeah, I
And this
switch it
is
back
Hershey
every time
once
it does
more.
it, just trying to get it to stick.
With Gboard, just make sure go through the themes because Gboard is what is known as the Google keyboard, right? Just for our newcomers, Samsung has their own variant of a keyboard, so just make sure you go into settings, and then if you are using dark themes and such, uh, maybe choose system. Let the system choose for it, right? So if you already are dark mode, then you don't have to toggle, that like you change something to dark and then you go change it to dark mode, it's going to change to light mode, right? Because it's just doing the opposite of it. So sometimes there is that variant if you use something like color inversion, which some of our low vision users on this call have, or myself uses. So that sometimes does make the keys look all funky, but I guess try to learn TalkBack.
Thank you. I have been lately. Thank you so much.
No, no problem. Thank you.
Wait, this is
Yeah.
Quentin.
Go ahead,
Oh,
Quinn.
go ahead. I'm sorry.
Well, no, this is Clay. I just had a question. You were talking about
Sure.
the dictation, and you referenced by saying, well, you're over in India. But I wonder, for a stateside, is dictation reliable, or is it still iffy, even here stateside?
Stateside, I honestly use dictation way too often for my own comfort, but most of the time it's correct. A couple of times I've had some messages that just didn't make sense or it shouldn't have said that. But the Google Gboard dictation, I think, is one of the better ones compared to the Samsung side. I went through Samsung's dictation and it was more incorrect than it was correct. So I've kind of just left it at Google's Gboard. So if you have a Pixel phone, you already have Gboard installed. If you have a Samsung phone, a OnePlus, a Oppo, any brand that is Android, at that matter, you will be able to download Gboard through the Play Store. And so the dictation, I would say that it is one of the better dictations engines, if you want to say, compared to something like what Samsung was offering in the past. And I'm coming from a Samsung S22 Ultra. That's what I use at stateside out in Florida. And the Pixel 6 Pro was just a blank phone, unlocked, what have you, threw a SIM card in it. So I just, like I said, I wonder if there is some regional things to it. On a Pixel phone specifically, if you were speaking through dictation, you could say stuff like send. Maybe Mr. Renee or someone else that is using their Pixel phones could maybe give more insight on that.
Yeah, this is Renee. Yeah, I've used my Pixel phone. I use dictation on almost exclusively on all my text messages and a lot of my emails. The only problem I run into is sometimes when I'm specifying an emoji, sometimes instead of putting the emoji there, I say red heart emoji. It might write out red heart emoticon every once in a while. Usually that happens when I first wake up in the morning. I'm still asleep and my voice isn't real clear. But that it works really well for me. The dictation does work really well.
Yeah, speaking of that waking up part, it's interesting because it'll start like it's correct, but then half the time it seems like whatever it's saying just doesn't make sense to what you said. So like talking with a low voice sometimes doesn't help either with it.
Yeah.
One other question. So Google doesn't have a disability telephone number where you can call and talk to Google about disability issues like Apple does for disability.
Actually, quite the contrary, Mr. Clay. So Google had their number out there, but then spammers spammed the living daylights out of them. So what they've gone and done is kind of the opposite. They kind of reversed the process. So you could click on call me, but that's the part that you have to have a web browser, so to speak. And so through the website that we were giving out earlier, g.co/disability support, you're able to email them. That's one source of getting in touch with them. They have hours on the Be My Eyes app. So if you have a video, if you have a question like your thermostat's not working, your other phone's not working, you can grab your iPhone and point it to your Android phone and say, "Hey, can you help me with this?" And then there is a phone call option there, but you have to like, kind of tap it and then they call you instead of giving out a phone number. So there is an option to reach out to them, but it's just a little bit more, I guess, diverted in that way. So yes, Apple does have their 800 number, Apple accessibility number, but however, you are still able to get in touch with Google, and then they could also get in touch with other companies like Samsung.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah. This is Renee.
Go ahead.
I have a question about I love using reading mode to read articles on the website, and I was trying to use one of the shortcuts that they have. I don't know if it's a newer one that you can swipe up with 3 fingers to activate the things that you chose, but I can't seem to get it working right. And I swipe up with 3 fingers and I get 2 icons, one for reading mode and one for magnification, which I think are the two that I chose in my settings. And I double click on reading mode and nothing happens. It acts like I didn't do anything. And then also another way to activate reading mode is to swipe down and use, the menus that you have from your that's right above your notifications, and I can swipe across till I get to my reading mode button there. And when I do that, it always tells me that it can't read that content. And I don't know because it maybe doesn't recognize that I had a web page behind that page. So I'm just wondering if anybody has tried to activate reading mode either of those 2 ways, and if they know the correct way to make it work.
This is Shay. When I use reading mode, it does that to me sometimes. And I will just scroll down randomly to the middle or end of the article, and I hit reading mode again, and it usually picks up the whole article. Sometimes if it's just at the top where you have just clicked on the article, it doesn't read it for me. So I don't know if maybe that would help you.
Yeah, have you activated it using either of those methods? Or do you use like a floating button on your screen?
I use a floating button on my screen.
Yeah, I used to do that, but those buttons just annoyed me. So I was trying to use something that didn't have to be on my screen. So because when I use the floating buttons, I can always get reading mode to work. But it's just this new way that I noticed, these 2 new ways I noticed I could not get either one of them to work correctly.
Renee, I have a thought. This is Kurt from Utah. I have no idea if this is true, but is your screen hidden? Because I know a lot of times things in TalkBack, like the image recognition or whatever, don't always work right if it's not showing the screen. So I have no idea, but that's just something you may need to try.
If the screen is hidden?
Yeah,
Basically,
like,
dark
screen
screen. So show screen or no screen.
Oh no,
Or-
I show my screen. I don't have my screen hidden.
All right, never mind.
Okay.
And that's a good point there. But when it comes to this is Hershey again. So when it comes to images, yes, there is that capture that image button. But I think with reading mode, like Forbes, sometimes the articles don't always read out for me. So you're not alone when it says you can't be read. Some companies are putting a paywall behind it, and it just makes it more difficult for it to read it out loud to you. If it still works like read it out loud, then it's using the same parameters. So
Yeah, this is Foster. I noticed that between using Chrome, Safari, and Edge, Microsoft Edge, I get more articles to read out off of Safari and Microsoft Edge than I do out of Chrome. So a lot of times I'll use Edge, because then if it doesn't work in the reading mode, then I just use the read aloud, and the read aloud pretty much works on any site.
Read aloud?
Yes. So with Microsoft apps like Word, Edge, they have and even in the email, if you use Outlook email, they have a special feature called Read Aloud, and it'll actually read those things for you. So it's built into the Office stuff, though. It's not it's not a system related thing. It's built into the apps and stuff.
Okay.
This is Kevin.
Yes, Kevin.
So with the reading mode, yes, the 3-finger swipe up is working for me. I don't use magnifier, so I only assign one gesture to each shortcut on Samsung or Google, because that's what's causing the confusion. So if you have magnifier enabled, then it's not going to know, because when I swipe up with 3 fingers from the bottom, it just immediately pulls up the reading mode screen.
Okay, that must be why it keeps giving. Now it makes sense because I get a message that says select, which one you want to assign to this shortcut, and I'm thinking it's saying, well, select one of them, but really it's meaning take one of those off. Probably is probably what they intend to tell me.
Yeah,
Okay,
that's
so I will
probably.
remove one of them and see if that works. Thanks, Kevin.
And then, also it's still active now. They might take it away, but you know that you can just launch the assistant either with the voice command or whatever, and you can still just say read it, and it'll still read to you in a high quality voice on a website.
Oh, you can't. Oh, when I was my voice. Oh, so just say the OKG lady read it.
Yes.
Okay.
Just say read it.
Because okay, I have not tried that one. I will give that a try. You think they're going to take that away?
I don't know because they have reading mode now, so I don't know if they're going to phase it out, but it's still working right now. Or it was the other day. Might not be today, but
because I know they changed that you can't really just use the microphone as your assistant anymore, which I used to like to do because it kept me from confusing my devices and having them try to figure out which one was going to take control.
Well, you can still use it as your assistant. It just launches Gemini if you have a Pixel.
It launches. Oh, really? Yeah. I haven't tried it. Okay.
So many changes. So many changes. Nice to hear you, Kevin. Well, if you have more questions, thoughts, again, reading mode is a app for our newcomers that allows it, as it states, to read things out loud. But of course, the assistant also has some features where you could just voice it out loud and carry on with your day. So there's some modes there, and this is available again on all the various, Samsung Pixel stuff like that.
This is Shay. I have a question about
Go ahead.
Gemini. So I prefer Assistant because I have it do the morning routine and read me the news and the joke of the day and the weather and all of those things, and I love it. And now when I say it just to my phone, it'll automatically open Gemini for me, and it never knows what time it is. It's always about 4 hours off, but not to the minute. And I then go in and uninstall it and reactivate Assistant, but it keeps switching on me. I'm not ready for it yet. Don't like it.
Any insight? Go ahead. I heard somebody there. It's hard to say, Michelle. Like I said, there's so many changes and moving parts right now, so I haven't really hyper focused into the changing of
I haven't. This is Foster. When did your phone start doing that?
When Gemini first came out, I went and looked at it and thought that it was pretty neat, had it help me with a couple of things. And then I was able to use Assistant at the same time, I think. And then all of a sudden, Gemini is not effective and doesn't always understand what I'm saying. And so until they work out the bugs, I thought I'll just hang out with Assistant because I know how to use it really well and it works. But it's strong arming me into making me use Gemini, and I just don't want that yet.
Yeah.
This is
I
Kevin.
get a smart speaker. Get a smart speaker and set up a routine through the smart speaker.
I do. Yes, I do that as well. Yep. But I kind of, I like to hang out with the phone.
And then that's the thing with which you mentioned, Mr. Clay, and I'll let you speak here shortly, Kevin, is within the phone, whatever you're doing on the phone is kind of transcended into the speaker world. So you have your display, you have your audio speaker, you have your mini. So some of these commands, what I feel is happening personally is that the teams are changing apart. Assistant teams have gone into Gemini teams, so maybe that's where we're having this little change up.
Thank you. Okay.
This is Kevin. So on my phone, on my Pixel phone, when I give it a command or something that Gemini doesn't handle, it will say, TalkBack will say assistant, and it will switch over. Like if I say send a text message or something like that, it switches over automatically. So you might want to go in and clear the data for Google and clear the data in storage for Gemini. And
thank you.
if worse comes to worse, just go in and disable Gemini. You don't have to have it. You can uninstall it, but you could just disable it. But it switches over for me right now.
Thank you.
Thank you. And I guess with that, any other questions?
I have a quick question about that.
Sure.
So, did you actually have to install Gemini, or was it already on your phone, or is it already just there? If you
This is
say,
Shay. I think the first time I went and installed it myself, and then I thought, well, I'm not quite ready for it, so I took it out, I uninstalled it, and now it keeps installing itself, and I keep going and uninstalling it and reinstalling it. It's like this vicious circle. I look like a clown car. It's terrible.
okay. And Kevin, on your phone, is it just there already, or did you install it as well?
Yes, if you have a Pixel, if you hold down your side key, or if you say, if you say, hey, G or whatever, you're in the Gemini world. You don't have a choice right now.
Oh,
And
okay.
that's what I'm saying. So it switches for some things. But yeah, there's no really way to, I guess you could go to your app drawer and go down to where it says Google and maybe hit voice command or whatever it is. Maybe that would work. I don't know, but
Well, I haven't had any problems yet at this point in time. I'm just wondering if I can ask it some of the questions that, that Google usually wouldn't answer for me since it's on there. I'm wondering how far it'll go.
no, it does matter right now. And this is one thing that we need to report. I don't know if they're going to fix it, but if you hold down the side key or the power key and ask it something versus saying, hey, G, then that usually determines whether it speaks out loud your answer or whether you have to hit the play button.
Growing pains.
Yep.
Yeah, it probably works differently too on Pixel as opposed to other model phones.
Hey Foster, quick question. How does it work on like the OnePlus and stuff for you? Just to give there's more than one phone other than Samsung and Pixel. So how about on that OnePlus side? Is it pretty much the same full on Android feeling?
I haven't tried the Gemini, but yeah, the OnePlus is it works pretty fluid as far as Android. It has a few little extra added features, but as far as the whole Android experience, no, it's most cases the UI is great on the OnePlus.
So just a little trip share here. So I'm here on some other work related stuff and family things. So I'm looking through my phone the other day, and they mentioned Oppo and OnePlus are actually partnering up with Google soon enough. I mean, of course, they are partnered up in one way, form, or another. But I remembered you because you always show up your OnePlus out here on the show. So I heard that there is actually going to be more of a, I guess, working together type of thing. So I guess we could look forward to it. Maybe it might just be in Asia market wise, but let's just put it, Google and its advertising is pretty interesting because everything that's coming around, it's half and half news, so to speak. So I'll get half news from what's happening back home, and then the other half would be related to something that's out here. So yeah, if you ever travel to UK or let's say South Africa, Asia, if any countries in Asia, I'm in Gujarat, India right now, Australia. Just put it this way, that Google is doing some interesting things.
Yeah, this is Foster again. Another thing too about because Apple and OnePlus are, I don't know who bought the other one out but anyway, they're like sister companies or whatever. And they, to buy an Oppo phone, you have to more or less buy it unlocked, and you'll see those on Amazon. It's OPPO is how you spell it, Oppo. And some of the features on the Oppo actually rival the Samsung, um, even with the camera. The camera, because right now I saw an article the other day about some new Oppo phone that's coming out, and they say the cameras are on par with the Ultra. So,
Well, as I say, competition is a great thing, but at the same time, like here, I asked my family members, "Do you guys have Sony phones?" Sony pulled out of Asia, or at least in India here.
oh
So
really?
it's just really interesting how the market has changed because Sony is putting their money into the camera gear basically. But if you had a Sony phone, it was one of the best webcams. You plug it in, plug and play. You had your webcam ready to go. So for recording and other work, I found that that was really incredible what the Sony phones did. But I think marketing wise rather, they were a little not as aggressive as others. And of course, with OnePlus and Oppo, they're pretty huge out here in the Asian markets and even in the European markets. So, when it comes back to the States, I say if you're a screen reader user, go for a Pixel. If you have some sight and you like your AMOLED, sparkly, nice, dark, deep screen, go for a Samsung phone. And a series phone, for example, between the S series phone and the Samsung area, uh, they try new features out on the A series. So if you have like A32, think of it as it's kind of the mid tier ish or the lower end of the higher end of the mid tier. You have like your one, like let's say 14 or 15 that's going to come out. So think of it as a year, 25 or 24, 30. So 32, that phone more than likely came out in 2022. So if we look at the numbering to kind of figure out, what is this? These funky numbers that they throw at these phones. I don't know, affordable maybe, and then the S series is their flagship series. So currently we're at the S24 model. Upcoming here in the summertime in June, July, you'll see the Fold and the Flip. So Foster had mentioned he came in with his Fold 3. So the other thing to also remember, Pixel is soon, or Google rather, is going to host the Google I/O 2024. I have forgotten the dates, so if anybody has them, please bring them about. But what Google I/O is to WWDC, and that's basically the developer conference for Google, where you get to find out what's going to come out and how it's going to work. And currently, like on my Pixel 6 Pro, I'm running Vanilla Ice Cream, which is Android 15. And that's beta 1 at this point, at least, if I remember correctly, maybe beta 2. And just to kind of give you an idea of who and what's going on in the States as well. I mean, I'm just here on some family matters, but to just kind of come back full circle, what we're dealing with right now, we want to just kind of give that insight of there's various brands and phones, but we just want to make sure that the choice is there. And screen reader wise, TalkBack is made by Google. Samsung does use TalkBack. They just have a little delay, so some of the features aren't quickly available. It might be a 3 to 6 month process. So if you're a low vision user, that's why I personally recommend a Samsung phone. And not to say that it doesn't have the screen reader, it doesn't have like the camera and all that good stuff, but in comparison, and so the Google I/O should also release out the 8A, which is the Pixel side of the affordable phone, and the 8 Pro and the 8 right now is the most current Pixel phone you could buy.
This is Foster again.
Go ahead.
Another thing they're probably going to be releasing too is there's been a lot of buzz about the Pixel Fold 2. That's got a lot of buzz right now too. Hopefully they put more. I know the first one was more or less kind of like experimental, but I hope they go ahead and make it more flagship, on par with the 8 chip and or even a 9 chip. I think they're supposed to be doing a 9, so maybe hopefully they
See,
put the latest
Mr. Foster,
chip.
see, I was scared, Mr. Foster. See, I could have brought the phone with me, but then if it would have fell, I would be sad. So I chose the Pixel 6 Pro. But yeah, you're right. I mean, there might be a new watch coming along, and all these ecosystems are going to work more than likely within, let's say, if you have a Samsung phone or a Pixel phone, and of course, Samsung has their own watches. So to give some insight into accessories as well, that there is some different variation between using a Samsung. I think it's with Watch 6 that we're at right now, and then and the Watch 2 on the Pixel side. But in conjunction with that, the models of the phone, the Pixel 8 Pro, why is another big pro that I've been touting at people is you will have 7 years worth of OS updates. TalkBack gets its own updates, so they are on different cycles. So you will always have new features coming from TalkBack side. But however, if you let's say if your OSs are up, so to speak, but if your OS is not up and you have a Pixel 8 Pro, or 8, you have 7 years worth of updates coming ahead of you. So do keep that in mind where, cost money and all that other fun stuff, all the math. You want to make sure that you're buying something that actually matters to you. So, for example, before I was leaving, my uncle was deciding between the iPhone and the Pixel, and Best Buy had a 256 GB Pixel 8 Pro for 809, whereas the 128 GB variant was at 709. Otherwise, it was for 750 and 850, respectively, elsewhere. So just make sure whenever you are choosing your different phones that you might want to try, as Mr. Clay had also alluded to, that this is his first time calling. So we're really grateful and want to just give you any kind of insight, even if it is really beginning novice of it, that, I would probably prefer to go straight to the Google side of things, just as you were to go straight to Apple, because in comparison, let's say the SE, Kurt is on the call here with his SE, and yes, it has features that Apple offers, right? But you might not have a button, you might not have a this or that. So in comparison, all Android phones most likely these days do not have buttons, but your volume up, volume down, and your power button do act as multifunctional buttons. On Samsung phones, your volume up and power is usually what toggles on a direct shortcut. So, like TalkBack could be turned on and off quickly that way. Volume up and volume down held together also is another shortcut. So, again, TalkBack could be started off like that straight from the box. No sighted assistant necessary. And it just provides a little bit more clarity to how we were talking about with Ms. Renee's question. I'd rather throw the magnifier, if I'm not going to use it every day, in the volume up and down menu. And then the volume up and power menu, I would rather throw in something like TalkBack where I just instantaneously turn it on and turn it off.
I appreciate your comments. I was especially interested when you said low vision, because I'm a low vision user. Well, just my right eye. And when you were talking about the Samsung, I was curious, oh gosh, would I go with a Pixel or a Samsung? So I appreciate your comments.
Absolutely.
Low vision.
And one thing just to clarify in that, at least from what I understand, last I checked, Samsung S series are at 5 years OS operating update. Again, TalkBack is on its own cycle. So if you were, to transition into a screen reading mode, there's also another app called Select to Speak, which is part of the phone itself. No extra downloading necessary, but that's what you could use for like quick reading. And if any others of you that might use that feature want to share your kind of experience with it, please feel free. But most of these features do come built in. There's not the 2012 days of Android where you had to go download apps and then, yada, yada, yada. Mostly everything is built in. Google, Gemini, et cetera, is all pretty much built in. So just to give you a little bit more information there.
Yeah, this is Renee. Yep, I used Samsung phones for years and used those features, the select to speak, and when reading mode came out, would use reading mode. But as my vision got worse, that's when I switched to the Pixel. And I've been very happy with the change. Needing to use TalkBack constantly, because that's when I switched to using TalkBack. When I got my Pixel, I just didn't even make my screen font larger or anything. I just learned TalkBack, and it's worked out. It worked out well for me making that transition as my vision got worse.
I heard Foster. Somebody else had a comment there real quick.
Yeah, this is Foster. Yeah, I'm a low vision user, but I'm kind of was on as one of my low vision specialists said high partial. So I don't use TalkBack that often. I more or less use it like as a convenience. So like if I don't want to try to read a whole article, or if I don't want to use, or if the article's too long, and instead of trying to use select to speak and pull it up every paragraph, just turn the talk back on and have it read the article. But I noticed I did have to download the Google Accessibility Suite on my Z Fold because it didn't have the select to speak um, already on here, so I did have to download that. But other than that, yeah, like Hershey said, the font size is great. And if you get the fold, it's even better because you can open it up and really get a nice big, really nice big letters. In another app, if you want to even go bigger with your font, there's an app called Big Font. In Big Font, you can literally blow the fonts up humongous, but the drawback is, um, it affects how the um, it
And
affects how
for
information
clarity
is
there, Foster,
displayed
you
on your
said
screen.
big font, BIG font.
Yeah, FONT, BIG FONT.
Appreciate that.
Yeah. So, and you can make it really big, or if you know somebody that's really farsighted, you can make it really small. So it's kind of flexible, but yeah, the
And
Samsung is good.
and this is Hershey again. So I've been using the Samsung lineup since the Galaxy S2. I'm at the S22 at this point. Doesn't feel like I need to switch to anything, but to give you kind of another just a significant or not significant, but like another layout. If you get the, let's say, Samsung S24, that's just a regular old S24. Then you might have an S22 Plus or whatever they choose this year, or 24, excuse me. And then you have the Ultra series. So the Ultra series also does come with a stylus or a pen. They call it S Pen. And so if you are low vision and you still, have quite functional, usable user vision, you may seek a Ultra versus the Plus or the Pro because of the fact that heck, you could draw or write and everything will work out for you in that fashion. So just make sure that you have the choices, but the cost, the Ultra obviously is a higher cost. But most of these phones have what they call AMOLED screens, so the darks are really dark. The fonts, to me personally, I love Samsung's way of the layout. Pixel kind of just makes it way too tiny, even if it is at the largest font. So, give it a whirl at your Samsung store, Best Buy, any electronic store that do carry those phones, just to kind of get a kind of grasp on it. I do enjoy the Pixel phone, but the font still doesn't match what I feel Samsung is doing. So, if that is one of the big factors in your purchasing for a new phone, and let's just say if you wanted to purchase something a little bit cheaper but still function for you, you may even try out something like the let's say A55, which is like the phone for 2025, or A24, etc. So, or A54, excuse me.
Yeah, this is Foster, and that was Mr. Clay, right? That was
Yes.
interested. Yeah. So
Yeah,
another thing too,
Clay.
another thing too, Clay, is if you like for me, I couldn't afford the latest Z Fold 5, which is like $1,800. So what I did instead was I went 2 series back to the Z Fold 3, and with taxes and everything, only 700 for it. So you can still get one of the previous flagship models with, especially with Samsung, because they're always updating. You can go back a few years and save a lot of money, but still have like Hershey was saying, you could get the Ultra S22 Ultra that has a stylus, and pay considerably less than what because the S24 Ultra's what is running like 1,500 or something like that, some crazy amount like that. So you can save some money by purchasing going back a few models if you still want that top notch experience.
And one more thing with Samsung phones as a, I guess a pro and con versus all that. Uh, I was messing with my phone the other day, and there's a button there. I was like, "Huh, what is this?" Tap it. It's the Bixby button, but it will translate what's on the screen for you. So for our very low vision users, if you need something to say, "Hey, what am I looking at this picture?" It's using good old ChatGPT and or Bard, aka Gemini now, or Gemma, however you want to call it, but it's using that platform to get descriptions for you. So, Bixby also is a powerful tool, which is only found on Samsung phones, which is their assistant, and then Google's assistants named Assistant smartly. So, those are your two kind of assistant, sort of AKA Siri type of uh, comparisons. So they do offer their own little twist and turn of features within the realm of whatever you're trying to choose. Well,
Does
any
this
go
is
ahead.
I hope it's not off the topic, but
No,
does
go ahead.
Google have a feature where its users can, well, it's not FaceTime because that's iPhone, but they do a call and they can share music. Is there a feature on Android where you can do a group call and listen to music together?
Okay. And so just to give a quick note, even with that FaceTime, if anybody is using FaceTime on iPhones, you could send end user that's using the Android phone the link and they could still join in. So, don't leave your family members out just because, they got an Android and they don't have FaceTime. But does anybody have any more insight for Mr. Clay that would work out for him to maybe share media or, hang out with his family? I'm thinking of a Google product, but
Family man, dedicated to the family. So, yes, you can do the same thing in Google Meet, which comes on Android phones by default. So if you're in Google Meet, you can share screen, share audio, and pull up a YouTube video or whatever that way as well.
Oh, very
yep,
good. Thank you.
that's what I was thinking. So thank you, Kurt.
And is Google Meet is that they offered on iPhone as well too, don't they?
Correct. So
Yeah.
Google Meet
So
is part of Gmail. So if you have a Gmail account, at the bottom of your screen, you'll more than likely see, even on your Windows computer, hey, pick, you want to call somebody, and that app also now is because what we went through some growing pains there in that era because they had Duo, they had this and that, but they basically combined them all together. So when we look at Google, just remember that if one team goes away, like the assistant team, it's because they're putting all their money and amount into the AI side of things, right? So Gemma or Gemini. So don't always think that, oh well, that team they got fired or that it's not like that. It's reorganization because the Google podcast, for example, to take example, has now been sunsetted, but it's not necessarily sunsetted. It's been moved over to the YouTube team, and Alphabet owns the parent company, owns Google and YouTube. So sometimes when you see stuff like that, don't get caught by the hype. Where they just kill all the apps. They're not really killing apps. They're just reorganizing which team is covering whom and how things are working along with from an app to a service to stuff like that. I mean, of course, there have been some apps that have been just flat out killed, like Allo, but Allo's technologies is what they also put into Meet. And Duo and so on and so forth. So just do kind of cut them a break to say, well, they just kill apps. Well, Apple kind of kills apps too, but they don't push it out that way. And they have different teams working on different ideas. So internal service, in closed kind of quartered Apple versus this Google, where you have different teams working on different products. That's the different variation between the two companies, but they're all human beings at the end of the day. So let's just hope the robots don't take over.
Are they going to, or maybe I'm not saying it right, but there was talk about iMessage and Android messages being kind of merging, or I don't know what the correct terminology is, to where, you can see now an Android user received or read your message, and that was the goal, to where there would be more interaction between the two. Is that still planned?
Well, Mr. Clay, and this is Hershey again, just for the audience, and it's hey, you look cute. Hey, you look cute too. Can we dance? I don't know. Maybe she let him dance with he, she, whatever they let each other dance with each other, but it's this back and forth where one minute they said yes, one minute they said no. Then Beeper came in, then Beeper got bought out. Beeper is a company that kind of trying to kind of work in between the two to offer the iMessages and such. But we shall see, I think, in this quarter coming up, second quarter, we should know more because you'll have WWDC coming around the corner. You'll have Google I/O around the corner. So I would say look around in May for Google I/O. I think it's maybe May 15th or something like that. But check it out either way online. Type in Google I/O 2024. And I think we'll find out more at that juncture of what is happening because Google has been putting out friendly commercials like, hey, you have some cool features with cameras. And then Siri, so if you go on YouTube, do Made by Google, they have some funny videos. But that's where this conversation came about, where why aren't we integrated? And there have been some lawsuits across UK and other places that is now pushing all these companies to work together. So we look at iPhone, you have USB-C now, right? So it's changes like that we want to make it a universal thing where we all communicate in a one place, one shop. So like here we are on Zoom, but Zoom is also available on iOS and Android. So we have to just kind of look at it in that functionality or in your work or your play or however what works for you. And that's what's the great thing about Android is it's customizable. And so is Apple, not to say that they don't have customizability, but if you look at something like the action button on an iPhone, well, my Bixby button or otherwise action button it's been there since my Note 9. So, we're kind of reinventing the wheel sometimes, but we need to use our features wholeheartedly. And if they don't work, we need to complain to the head beings at g.co/disability support or whoever is going to read that ticket. So we actually make a proper change because it's for us. It's not for just the guy next door or girl next door. It's for the whole community. So, that's why I always try to advocate that you could have, like, I have a iPhone 14 Pro as well, but that doesn't mean that I don't like Apple. That doesn't mean that I don't like Android. So we should kind of stop fighting each other, and we need to just ask for more accessibility features rather than more, I pay this brand more money than you do. So
Hershey? So
yes.
I did see a leak from Google, which we know Google is kind of infamous for leaking things, even when they don't mean to, or maybe they do mean to. I don't know. But
I think it's intentional.
I'm sure it is. So iMessage and Android Message aren't going to merge into the same thing, but what's going to happen is Apple, starting in fall on iOS 18 when it comes out, they will support what's called RCS, which is the same standard that Android uses. So what that's going to mean, assuming this leak is right, which I think it probably is that come fall, you send a picture between an iPhone and an Android, then it won't be very bad quality. You send a video, it won't be really tinny and compressed and gross sounding. But they still probably will have blue and green bubbles so that the Apple people can, pat themselves on the back and say, hey, we have the cool thing. And, So it won't be all the same, but they will be a little bit better integrated.
Thank you, Kurt. Yes, I
Yeah,
definitely agree with that. Go ahead.
this is Foster. Yeah, I heard that they was talking about that like last year or a few years ago. So I guess Apple's finally gonna
It's a
switch to
slowly push there, right,
RCS.
Foster? Just keep pushing them.
Well, here's the thing, and it's all a matter of what you prefer to use. So Apple, for me, the features are great, but the company's too proprietary in that what new features they come out with. Whereas in the Android space, since you have multiple companies making multiple different types of devices, just like with PCs, right? You have um, Apple only makes Mac, but then there's several companies that make Windows PCs. So Android's the same way. You get all these different companies that focus on making all these different features and whatnot, and kind of tailoring the Android experience to what they want to focus on. Some companies focus on cameras. Companies focus on gaming phones that that are maxed out, that run high speed. But for us, we mostly focus on Pixel and Galaxy, our Samsung phones, because those two manufacturers seem to be the best as far as talkback and other accessibility features. The other companies have those same features built in because they're Android, but they may not work as well as uh, Samsung, and it's so it's a matter of choice. But I've used both of them, and I definitely like Apple, and I like Android. But as far as my daily driver, what I like to prefer to use on a daily basis, my preference is Android.
And to give you a little bit of historical there, what they're basically trying to do is get rid of SMS and MMS. So RCS has become rich chat or whatever. Somebody please fill me in there. RCS is the new term or the new acronym, just to kind of throw some terms or understandability there, because of course with SMS it's not secure. Anyone with over the air those little free 6-digit codes and such that. So between that and then big file sizes, that's where the problem lied. So RCS is about 3 to 5 years old, give or take. And it pushing now Apple to say, hey, can we play with you? Can we play together? That integration should help us all communicate better with bigger files. So, and it's not that iMessage is really old, right? And it's been able to do such functionality with big file size or whatnot. So it's not using SMS, it's not using MMS, but Android never had that, right? The only thing Android had was SMS and MMS. So this RCS is this new toy, so to speak, or new platform, and that's why the integration part is going to be quite the thing to look forward to. Like everyone has been alluded to, the fall, the second quarter, third quarter. So I think if we're going to say fall, whenever Apple releases their new 16, they'll probably say, hey, well, we're helping out Android over there too. So, that's probably where you're going to hear these announcements to kind of keep close eye on. Well, any other questions? Ava, what have you been up to over there? Never mind. We don't need Amazon, right?
Nah, no updates yet that I've been able to play with on Amazon. So.
And Ava, so are we still gonna use Android on Amazon, or do you know any little tidbits on that?
Can you repeat that?
I keep hearing rumors that they're gonna not have Android is gonna be switched up because they took out the Play Store on the Windows side or their whatever they call their store, the Android store. So with comparison to Amazon products, with the integration, would you feel like it's going to remain, or do you think that there's going to be again this big cut and break and crackling of companies?
I think it's gonna be the latter. Everybody seems to be revitalizing and trying to go a new route, especially with the new AIs that are out. So right now it's just to sit back and see what Amazon's gonna do.
Very true, very true. I mean, just to have this experience internationally is kind of intriguing. And who uses what? I mean, Google seems to be used here more often, but in the States, everybody has a Echo device in their house. So, or Fire Stick. I don't have Echo device. I kept it out the house. So,
Hang on 1 minute, Hershey. I'm late at noticing this, but everybody, please remember, especially if you're new on the line, I know you may not know, but you do not need to raise your hand on our show. If you just wait for a lull in the conversation, announce your name, and either Hershey or I will recognize you to ask a question, but you do not need to raise your hand. Okay, Hershey.
Can I raise my hand in celebration?
Hey, you can raise your hand
Okay.
all day. Yeah.
Well, it's great to be back here, and yeah, I guess should we move on to more questions, Ava?
Yes.
All right. Any more questions, thoughts, concerns, anything at all? Let's keep on coming.
This is
Go ahead, Miss Renee.
just a funny comment. You were talking about the Amazon. Well, I have a lady in my office, and I also have a G lady in my office, and G lady has been very finicky lately about answering certain questions. But if I ask the question of the G lady and she just says that she can't answer, she doesn't understand, then I ask the A lady starts answering it, and the G lady starts answering it too. The same question.
Why can't everybody be friends? Come on, Apple's trying to be friends.
Okay, hang on a minute. You have a little background noise that we're picking up. There we go. Okay. Yeah, your G.
Is that Kurt? I think Kurt might have a comment. He's out at a ball game as well, so we do understand. But was that Kurt that was trying to get a word in there?
Yeah, sorry, I missed it. I'm back now.
All right. Well, more thoughts, concerns, anything else as far as we know?
Well, the thing with your A lady and your G man, you may have, like, I have mine set to delay. So if I ask it a question, it'll give me time to, once it answers me, it'll give me some time. I can always ask another question. So if your G is set on that feature and you ask your A lady a question, the G will pick it up as well and answer. That's why it's answering at the
same time. But where does one go to even change those settings? Like you got Echo, you got this app, A lady app. Could you kind of clarify that for me?
You'd have to go in the settings for like the home app for the G. And for the A lady, you'd have to go under the Alexa app and go under that device. Each device, like I have maybe 4 or 5 of them, you have to pick which one you want to do that with, each one.
So again, full customization. It's per device. It could be for all devices. The Google Home app is one of the apps that we mentioned. There's an app called Assistant made by Google, and that is the G human robot sounding person. And then there's the Echo ALXCA app as well. So just depending on where, I guess, what system you like using. I mean, they all kind of can turn on light bulbs, turn off light bulbs. By this point, they could all play music. They could also do like hey, time for dinner, call people downstairs, upstairs, etc., or broadcast. So, the integration is still there. If you have a phone, you can do it from the phone. If you have just a speaker or a display, you have that option to tell it, and then it could also then notify you on your phone. So the integration between back and forth is still quite nicely done, I guess, for lack of a better term.
I think it's a Google Nest, isn't it? Mine's a Google Nest.
Yeah, so what Google did is they first used to call them Google Homes, and then Nest came along. They purchased Nest, and then so you have the Nest Audio, which are two tower-looking speakers, pretty loud. If you get a couple pair, you could do a stereo pair or right and left. And then the mini is a little circle like your Echo Dot in comparison, if anybody's trying to compare to what's orange to apple sort of things. And then you have the display, which one of them is about a 7-inch display, which is I think the Display 2 or the name escapes me right now, but I think it's called a Nest display, whereas before it's called a Google Home display or something like that. And differential wise is not much. I don't know what they're going to come out with this year. The market has been kind of switching back and forth, and everybody's put all their eggs in one basket with this AI stuff. So um, kind of keep a lookout on what's available. But yeah, the Nest speaker or Nest thermostat, anything Nest, pretty much. They sometimes it will have you to go through the Nest app. For example, my Nest thermostat at home, I could control it from here in India, and all I do is just get on my home app, and I already set up that while I'm out, I could control it, or if I have a camera. So for security sakes, Nest cameras, Nest thermostats, they all kind of integrate and fairly accessible, even in the space for vision loss.
This is Foster.
Go ahead, Foster.
But Google has books, just like Alexa, like Apple. Does anybody read any of use any of like the Google library, like for Google Books or audio books?
This is Renee. I have purchased some books before that I've used and I've listened to on my speakers, but I don't know if I've ever gone into any library. They actually have a library of books that are free.
Well, I mean, if you go on the Play Store, you can do apps, books, movies, things like that. So they do have. It's just I'm so deep into Amazon. It's like I don't know. I just haven't found my way to using, a lot of those other Google services.
Yeah, I like the books because I just have a personal little battle with the Amazon what is that books that they use?
Kindle and
the ones where they want you to be on the program and they
Audible,
charge.
Audible.
Oh, unlimited.
Yeah, Audible.
Kindle,
Yeah,
Audible or Kindle Unlimited?
Audible. Me and Audible had a little battle, and they had to give me all my money back. So we're not liking each other right now. But I have used the Google Play Books to find books that I couldn't use because usually I'll go to my library for books and just use the library app, the Libby app. But I do have purchased books, and the one thing I like about purchasing the books on the Google, which I'm sure you can do with other things, is you can have the sharing program, and I have a family group that shares my music, and whenever I buy a book they can use the books too. So I have used the books for sure.
This is Clay, but
Go ahead.
You don't use Bard?
Oh, I use Bard sometimes too. Bard's search engine still sucks compared to other things.
Oh, it does. Oh,
well, for me, maybe some people are better at it. I've had people explain it to me. After using search engines for so many years, like Google and other stuff, it's not logical to my brain. It just doesn't work. So
you can't share it either.
Well, yeah, but they're free, so
yeah,
that's easy enough. But
it's basically sharing a title versus the actual book, whereas on the other side, you're actually sharing the actual book within family or whomever.
Yeah, any book I buy in Google Play, I have 6 people in my family group that we're covered with our Google Play Music, and if I buy a book, the books and the YouTube and all. So, it's I do like the books. They're very convenient for me, being on the phone, being on the speakers. I like being able to listen to them on the speakers. That's what I was hoping that Bard would get to, but I think they're just working with Amazon, not with Google.
This is Kevin.
Unfortunate. Go ahead, Kevin.
So I use the Google Play Books a lot, and now they have a lot of so there's already the accessibility layer, but more virtual read books, so that you have access to more books, without having to change pages or without having to use like robotic sounding speech. You can They have a lot of virtual red books. And the Bard search engine on the Android app is like night and day. It has come so far. They even have a voice input button now.
Oh, they do?
That search engine is amazing now.
Oh, I'll have to try it again because I was so tired of waiting for them to fix it that I just stopped
Yeah, I
using it.
don't know if they got a new developer or whatever, but the Android app has come a long way.
And that's a great point you made, Kevin. Is just if you've used Android back in 2012, Android has come way far along. So, even if it's an app that you might have used once upon a time and you're just upset because it doesn't work properly, like to me personally, the Amazon shopping app barely works. You put anything in the search, the old search is still there, so then you double up on what you searched like yesterday or what have you. So, there are some nuances between apps and how you like using your apps, maybe Audible and such that, but definitely keep in touch with your developers at these same companies. Reach out to them via email, say, hey, this is not working for me. Can we get something going together? Because again, we are the end users. We are their customers. We are the sort of product for free because nothing's free, as they say. So always put in your input. I mean, it's important that we share what we need because ages ago we barely had, all we had is talking books, right, on cassette, and now we had cartridges. So there's an evolution to everything when we look at phones, speakers, what have you. The Google speakers were far superior way back when, but then Sonos decided, hey, we're going to sue you because you borrowed our things. And that just ruined what was already, a baby, an infant. And Android is now what, 20? It's kind of a child, teenager, or maybe a growing adult. So, there are going to be growing pains, but with that comes a responsibility for us to say this doesn't work, not to just say, well, that doesn't work on Google, and then Google just sucks. I mean, what does that help the other person? Right? We have low vision people, we have high partials, low partials, totally blind. So we got to kind of understand and work together to kind of get what we're trying to receive. And thank you, Kevin, for always pushing out, what features and things are uh, available or what you're using more commonly. So thank you for that, Kevin.
This is Clay. I'm going to ask one more question, then I'm
Go
done.
for it. It's all yours.
You guys, do you connect with each other like on Facebook, or is this your only connection with each other is on these calls? Because I've thoroughly enjoyed this, and gosh, you're all so knowledgeable, and I think, wow, how do they?
I appreciate that. Thank you, Mr. Clay. Well, so
This is
YouTube.
Sharonda.
Go ahead, Miss Rhonda.
Hi, I'm really new here,
Sure.
and
Welcome. Hey, nice to meet you.
thank you. Nice to meet you and everyone else
And where
here
do you
on the
come from?
line. I am in Arizona. My husband and I reside in Arizona.
Excellent. So we got
Yes.
Arizona, we got Texas, we got Florida. I mean, you got technically got India as well because I'm actually in India right now. But go ahead, Miss Rhonda. Mr. Clay, we'll get back to you because I have some thoughts. But let's see what Miss Rhonda has to say.
Well, I guess I have maybe a couple things, but one huge thing. So my husband and I are new Samsung Galaxy S24 owners. And I really like the intuitiveness of the phone itself. But we're wondering what uh Bluetooth earbuds people are using and your thoughts about them because we're trying to shop for Bluetooth earbuds. We have some, but they don't sound great on a phone call. And so we really want something that's going to give volume when you're on the phone. So that's my first question.
All right. Well, Miss Rhonda, what's your budget? Because that's the biggest question anyone's going to ask is what is your budget? Because we could go $500. It could go, you could go for a nice shopping spree, but then I don't think your pocketbook's going to like it. So what's your budget in
I
reality?
would not like to go above $200.
Perfect. Okay. So, if anybody else wants to get an insight, then I'll kind of wrap it with what I know and then carry on to the next question. And for Mr. Clay, I'm going to explain how to get to us aside from what
All
what
right.
we've kind of been talking about.
All right, Hershey.
So,
We're
go ahead.
actually down to our last minute on the call.
Okay. Thank you.
So this
My clock is
question and
so
the
real
last
quick.
question will
I
be
would
our
say
last.
Pixel Buds for Pixels and even at Samsung work well. The sound quality is pretty decent. If you want to have Samsung earbuds, they work well as well. If you're into the aftershocks where they don't go in your ear, but they sit on the temple, they work really well. I would say the aftershock comms are one of the better ones. And then I would say Sennheiser also make really good sound quality, so give those brands a shot. And lastly, to say, if you do want to find out about how to reach us, if you go to YouTube, type in iBug Today, you'll find a playlist there. And in the playlist, you could find all the 36 videos from all the episodes that we've been doing. It's every third Wednesday. And then again, the mailing list, IBUG, Android plus subscribe at groups.io. That will get you into the mailing list. So if you want to have questions answered between each month, because our call is every third Wednesday, you can reach out to that way. We're more than happy to help in any way. And the YouTube videos will have a nice wrap up. So those are the ways you could really get a hold of us. And thank you so much for Mr. Clay and Ms. Sharonda for joining us as being new users and newcomers to our call. So thank you so much.
Yeah. And the Galaxy Buds, they work really well, especially with phone calls, because I've had 2 pair of the Galaxy Buds as well. If Foster is still on the line, because I know between me and him, we do love our earbuds.
Yeah, you get Bryce.
Yeah.
Kurt? Oh, sorry, Foster, go ahead.
Good.
Yeah, like Hershey said, so I have the Pixel Buds. I have the shocks, the ones that don't go in your ear. I have actually, you know what works well? Beats actually work very well with Android phones. You download the Beats app and pretty much any model of Beats works really well with Android phones. So they're not totally, they were bought out by Apple, but they still maintain like their own design team and everything like that. So
Right.
those are some
And
I'll
Kurt,
use.
you had a quick thought there, Kurt? I guess Kurt went on mute, maybe. But
Okay. Well,
There we go. I'm unmuted. Hello.
go ahead.
So for earbuds, it really just depends on your priorities. The Galaxy Buds 2 Pro are excellent for sound quality. They've got pretty good transparency mode. I'm hard on my in-ear buds. I break in-ear buds pretty easy, so I've kind of gone away from those. What I'm using now, Hershey, I am actually using, they're called the Shocks Open Fit. They kind of hook around above your ears and sit, in your ear, but not in your ear canal, so your ears are still open. I know the microphone is nowhere near as good as the OpenCom, but they're more portable, more pocketable, and they sound a little bit better. So that's kind of my like daily carry right now. So it just depends on what you want. Sound quality, really ease of use with Samsung's. The Buds 2 Pro are like amazing. But if you're wanting that ambient awareness aftershocks.
There's a Samsung store here. I think I know where I'm going after.
Yep. All right, y'all. Well, just know our next show will be May 18th, the third Wednesday in May. And y'all don't forget, iBug is having their annual drawing that you can get on
$10,
and win
right, Ava? $10.
$10 and win a $500 gift card of your choice, whether you want to do Amazon, Apple, or Google. So just remember, y'all, everybody jump in, join in, because you still have time to buy your tickets. All right, and thank y'all for coming.
Thank you.
Thank
Yeah,
Good night, everyone.
Thank you.
Hershey, enjoy your
Thank
travel.
you.
Mhm.
Good night.
You're
Take care.
welcome.
Bye-bye.